All right, we are live now. Welcome everyone for the free seminar on job trends to know post Corona event. So today is Sunday, and this is a day to actually relax. But you're here, you're basically hooked onto this YouTube channel and hearing out. It basically means that you really care about your future. It basically means that you are curious, and it means that you're set up for success. So next 60 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the industry trends, what's working, what's not working, and what you should do to actually succeed on this tide as a informed employee and informed industry person. Okay, so with this, jumping in straight into the webinar agenda. So this is a six-part agenda, and basically, like you can see here, we are going to talk about how the world is changing because of Corona, and what's going to be on the losing side, what's going to be on the winning side, and the actions that you need to take to succeed. And overall, what is the conclusion, and what are the actions we need to take to succeed in this overall situation, right? So before we get started, I want to make one statement. Here is my profile. Basically, I've been in the industry for almost 20 years. Worked in a number of countries, different domains, including financial, banking, internet companies, and service companies as well. Right, and I also had an opportunity to work with industry veterans, who's who of the internet industry, and that kind of helped me learn a lot of ups and downs that industry has gone through over last 20 to 25 years. And I always feel that when you share, you learn more, and that's one of the reasons why I do these seminars, and I share this information with people, right? So that's about my background, and I also run Icon Academy on the Facebook, and then I will leave my coordinates down below this video. You could follow me on Instagram, Sri Gade. You could follow me on Twitter, Sridhar Gade, and Icon Academy Facebook link is right below this particular video, right? So with this, I'm getting started with the one statement, right? So we are in a very interesting and difficult situation the whole world is in. But I want you to see it as a beginning for a great story of yours. Okay. Many people are looking at this as an end. This is a chaos. This is a really bad situation to be in. But I'm going to start with this sentence: is that this is going to be a beginning of your success story, and the beginning of many opportunities that are going to come into the future. So that is exactly what I want you to think of, and that is how we are going to actually take this story forward. Okay, right. So let me actually walk you through about what are the market conditions right now. What is going on within the market? So very unfortunate figures. As on May 3rd, as I speak, roughly 240,000 people died across 187 plus countries. Right. This is one issue, one problem that did not distinguish or this did not discriminate any race, any continent, any country. It went all over the place, and it kind of put the entire world and brought the entire world to its knees. Okay, this is something that our fathers, forefathers, or even 2 3 generations in the past have not witnessed a situation like this. And most of the world is in lockdown, like you see. All the flights are grounded. Most of the countries, there is no ground transport going on. There's no mass gatherings. There's no malls open. There's no movie theaters open. Everybody is confined to their homes, and everybody is actually looking forward to staying safe and staying home and staying safe, and want to make sure that this pandemic goes away, right? So as on January, when we came to know something like this is actually getting spread, slowly into Asia, and then February is when we started seeing this is becoming serious. March is when it became a pandemic, right? World Health Organization kind of announced this as a pandemic, and then now we are seeing the reality. The entire country of 1.3 billion people are in lockdown situation for last 6 weeks, and then it's going to only continue. We don't see any respite on the lockdown situation. That's where we are. Okay. In the United States, in last 2 months after the United States announced national emergency in March, 20 million people filed for unemployment in the US. Okay, what does it mean? Is 20 million people kind of like officially declared that they are jobless, unemployed, and they need help, right? And 15 million jobs in India only in export sector, where export is completely blocked right now, and then their lives and jobs are in risk, and only in export section as well, like 15 million jobs are kind of in risk right now. So this is the current situation, right? And let me show you one chart. This kind of gives you a kind of picture on where the world is going. Okay, so the blue bars that you see on the left side is the GDP growth across top 10 countries across the world if there was no coronavirus in 2020. So in 2020 there was no coronavirus. It was a great year, just like in 2019. No problem whatsoever. And then, if that is the case, the blue bar is what exactly the GDP that was expected from India, China, and various other countries. If you look at India, we are talking about roughly near 6%. China, more or less the same numbers, and globally roughly near 3%. But if Corona effect was there, but it was minute. It was not a pandemic. It was just like any other flu that was there in recent decades. Then there was a little dip. The orange line is that. But if you look at the sky blue color is where we are right now. This is when the corona turns into a pandemic. Now you're talking about except for India and China, every other country's GDP is actually negative. Okay, so and even the entire global economic impact, if you look at it, then it is the GDP is actually kind of reduced by 2/3. Okay, so here is these are all official numbers that are there, and they're actually changing as we speak. And the intention here is not to scare you or not to create fear. The intention is to inform is that where we are. And then there is also a great news, right? For example, if you look at it, the entire environment, the environment is kind of loving the situation because no cars are flying, no flights are flying in the air. So the pollution levels dropped all over the world. Ozone layer is kind of reforming, which never happened in last hundreds of years before. And the kind of pollution levels that were there in major cities like Delhi and various other parts of the world, the kind of control we could not get due to whatever measures we took. Now with just 1 month of lockdown, 6 weeks of lockdown, you see a lot of change in the entire environment. Okay, so the nature is loving it, and I think this is nature's lesson to us is that hey, a reset button has to be pressed. So, and there is some good news in future slides, and this is just information that I would like to share with you, but that there are more information that's coming up. Okay, and before we get to the solutioning mode, I want you to understand. Hey, you understood the problems that are happening. You understood the effect that is happening, but you also need to know not just you need to know the cause. Right, so what are the causes, right? So how the world is changing because of this, right? So one statement I would like to make is the world we know so far has changed and changed forever, and it's not going to be same again, right? So let's not make any mistake on this thinking is that the world is not going to be same again, and whatever we're going to plan, whatever we're going to do to adapt to the new world, it's completely going to be new world, right? And so what will change, right? What is changing? So the spending thought process of a consumer is changing because consumer drives the the world, that drives the business, and then obviously eventually job market. So entertainment, travel, non-essential spendings kind of will reduce. Okay, and then people actually stick to the basics, essential shopping. Okay, so during last 4 to 6 weeks, if you look at it, the entire lockdown has happened, but the government kept only essentials open, which is groceries, vegetables, things that you need to eat, your health needs, basically, like all the medical shops and pharmacies that are open, right? And that's about it. Like, like ambulance services, like hospitals, right? This is what open. This is basically the basic essentials, so that the thought process will change going forward, right? And the social interaction is going to dramatically change. Earlier social interaction, hey, let's go meet in a restaurant, meet in a coffee bar, like let's spend some time together, let's socialize, gather, like gather together. But now it's all about, hey, how can we do things remotely? Anything and everything that we want, and it's a basic necessity or a luxury or an entertainment, now we are going to look for remote options. Okay, so which means that we have to start thinking very innovatively and say, like, hey, how do we deliver everything remotely? Okay, everything, like will be looked at online. Sitting at home, I need everything, all the services. So social interaction is going to dramatically change. So any business that is actually focusing on social interaction, helping people get together, socialize and gathering, that situation is going to change. Okay, now, earlier in the companies, work from home used to be a luxury, right? When you're asking for a work from home, the managers or the companies are allowing work from home, it is basically they are allowing you to get a little more work-life balance, a little more flexibility. But that's not going to be the story anymore. That's going to be work from home is going to be a mandatory, or it's a compulsion for the companies and employees as well going forward. Okay, that's a major change that you're going to see. So this is going to dramatically reduce the cost to the companies of maintaining huge offices, maintaining the offices, the AC, the electricity, the rents that we are talking about, the like a housekeeping staff, and then for the employees, basically the commute back and forth, the amount of time we spend in commuting, right? And leaving all that alone, work from home, and totally depending upon remote working, and see, like, how do you develop those options, right? And then, like I said, consumer priorities have completely changed. The consumer, the way they are going to look at the companies, the way they are going to look at the shops, restaurants, merchants, are going to be completely different. Okay, it is completely driven by the new need. Now, the education, earlier, like large conferences, big campuses, right? Fitness, huge gyms, sports. You are talking about, like going to the huge arenas and stadiums, and start playing. And now things are going to actually go to everything online. I think most of you are already noticing is that most of the schools, even it's the primary and the secondary, smaller schools, are giving online classes for last 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, so the students are logging in through tabs and laptops and even mobiles. Most of them are actually logging in through mobiles. But in India, the mobile penetration has improved a lot. Internet bandwidth has improved a lot, especially with Geo coming in, and Airtel and other broadband operators are actually upping their game. So you will see education coming online, including professional MBAs, including professional courses like engineering. Everything will actually move online, and then see, like, how do they make it possible. So anybody who is investing in this area is going to obviously succeed. Okay, and the economic relations of the countries will change, like how the whole world used to depend upon China as a manufacturing hub, for example, or India as a business process outsourcing, or services industry outsourcing, will completely shift. Right now, it all depends upon which country is going to take advantage of the current situation, and how we are going to do the business, because no country today want to be having single point of failure in one particular country or one particular market. So people are going to think about option B, option C, option D, and want to make sure that they insure themselves from all the economic issues and problems that you might see. Right, and last but not least, the job markets in the country and abroad will completely change. Like, people who have been thinking to find more jobs in, say, any part of the country. For example, if you're in IT, you're talking about Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, Bombay, Chennai, NCR region, all these major hubs, Calcutta, right? And then if you're abroad, people are talking about going to the US, Europe, Australia, Middle East, right, and some folks into Asia. So all these dynamics are going to completely transform, because countries will start looking inwards now, saying that, hey, how do I leverage my employee resources and my consumer resources indigenously, and see, like, how self-sufficient can I be, right? So this is all about self-sufficiency, and the interdependency kind of will be looked at. It's not a bad thing, but it's like they also want the independence from rest of the world in per se. Okay. So, having said, we just spoke about how the world has changed, right? So, like I said, world is completely transformed, and it's not the same that is there today. And basically now, we are talking about the consumer and the markets, the country, and the way the whole world is going to look at the business world is going to be changing, right? So keeping that in mind, what are the different markets and different domains that could be at potential risk? Again, this is my personal assessment based on the studies I've done. In some cases, some of the industries have less risk than more, but then I think it's good to be knowing what are these areas. Okay, let's start with the hotels and restaurants. Last 6 weeks, how many of us went to a restaurant to have food? Okay. I think people have been basically completely cooking the food at home and eating. I know it is difficult, like a lot of work, especially when you're working and trying to cook, but I think that is the only healthy option. That is the only option that actually keeping you sane and healthy, and not contract any not get exposed to this pandemic, right? So right now, hotels and restaurant businesses is in a huge risk. Okay, most of the hotels have very low occupancy rate, and the restaurants have almost no occupancy rate whatsoever. People are actually experimenting, staying at home, and basically they are just want to make sure that these things are done at home, right? Number two, entertainment and movie theaters. So yes, again, this is the mass gatherings are completely avoided. So entertainment moved to home entertainment. So people are looking at online entertainment platforms like Netflix, Prime, Hotstar, and all these different platforms. But if anybody has a huge malls and theaters that you're talking about, they are not there. Okay, and that is if you are in any of these businesses, then you got to think twice, right? The third one is cars and automotives. So first of all, the commute is restricted. So you might say, hey, you know what, the situation may not be like this forever. Yes, but people, the consumers will start relooking at their finances and say hey, if I have multiple cars or multiple bikes, do I need all those? Okay, and can I take Uber instead? Can I take a rental car instead, rather than owning this liability and increasing my liability overall? Or do I want to have more cash in place than actually splurging money on these things? So I'll be more careful than splurging the money. Travel and tourism. So this is like I said, especially in India, last 4 to 6 weeks, all the flights are grounded, right? No trains, no buses, no local transport. And if you have a personal transport, but then you cannot cross one zone to other zone without too much of screening. Okay, so considering this, travel and tourism industry is going to transform dramatically going forward. So need to be looked at. This is another area need to be looked at. Live sports and events, like I said before, IPL got stopped, and we were talking about the entire Olympics event in Japan. Got halted, right? Anything you're talking about NBA in the US, and any sports event that you're talking about kind of halted. Will they come back? They might. It might take time. Will it be again the same? I think it's doubtful. People are going to look for more and more remote options. Hey, can I watch it remotely at the comfort of my home? Right? Real estate. So real estate, when I'm saying that, if the malls, if the movie theaters, and cars and automotives, if the companies are actually using less and less real estate and actually doing the work from home side, what will happen to the real estate? So that is another a question area where, hey, real estate could get into a little bit of questioning, where people want to keep liquid cash. They probably don't want to splurge too much money on this thing as well. So this market again is in the red zone right now. Okay, petrochemicals, right? How many of you have actually filled your car? Did you have to really put more gas? If you look at it, the oil prices across the world gone to dramatically so low. Is that if you look at it across the Hong Kong port, across the Singapore port, across the US ports, the oil, the huge oil ships are actually kind of docked, and if you look at it, like, they look like a complete entire coastal area is kind of blocked by these oil tankers. This is unused oil in general. The kind of oil that was used by these many countries, now it's all at the bay, and so the economies, oil economies, are actually going down dramatically. Okay, so had Reliance not diversified into geo, or like not diversified into all these new technologies, Reliance would have been in trouble today, right? So last but not least is job industry is in check right now. So considering all these industries are, in a kind of in a downtrend, or in a kind of a consideration of reforms, and so jobs in these industries also in question. I wouldn't say there will be like less jobs than before. I think like the next slide is going to bring in some more good news, but I think jobs is something that there will be some kind of realignment. There will be some kind of normalization in terms of the industry diversification, or I would say industry, how jobs are kind of distributed across the industries. Okay, so if you are working in any of these industries, I think what I would my um, suggestion for you was, just be aware. Like, no need for concern, no need to panic, but be open-minded, and don't stick to the same thing, saying that no, I will make this work. I think this is something that I've always been doing, so I can only do this, so I will only do this. Change the mindset to something. Hey, how do I leverage my skills to build something new, and then transform my skill sets so that it will be useful for the new world. So if you are willing to change, if you are willing to adopt, then you will be the successful story going forward, right? I think that's exactly the overall story of this particular presentation. So moving forward, moving to the domains that will basically gain from the situation. Okay. Now, let's start with digital and online products, right? So anything that is built, right? People don't want to do anything physical, because if it is physical, then I have to go to shop and buy, or I have to get it shipped. It's all painful. So whatever I have been using physically before, like education, right? Can I get it digitally? Um, anything that can be consumed digitally, right? All the services, they basically folks wanted digital. So the digital explosion will happen now, because again, things that need to be at home online without human touch, and without too much of real estate cost, that's what people are looking at it, right? Number two, so this is a gig economy. Most of you already know it. Gig economy is nothing but uh, rent versus buy. Okay, I buy a car. Instead of buying a car, I basically rent an Uber, right? And so if I go to a large restaurant, or large hotel in a different city, rather than doing that, I should probably do Oyo or Airbnb, right? So it's all about, if you guys have actually visited some sites like a fiverr.com, right? fiverr.com. So this is all about gigs in that, you want to get a website done. Instead of actually founding my own company and hiring my web devs, I basically get hold of some folks who are doing the gigs. Basically talk about a couple of months of work. Here is time bound work, and here's the time bound money that I'm going to pay, and then we are going to kind of disengage once the work is done, right? So this is exactly what is a gig economy. It is about, there's no longer term commitment, and there is no longer term money, or time commitment there. It is like you get your work done and you move on. Same thing, owning a house versus renting a house, right? Owning a holiday home versus renting a resort. So it's all about short term commitments, and then this economy is going to explode there. Healthcare, I think this is no. So I think healthcare professionals are the only heroes in last 4 to 6 weeks or 8 weeks that we are seeing, is that they have been saving lives, and they have been actually helping people live through this pandemic situation. So healthcare, I think, is going to be of utmost value for the entire world, and I think people really need to ensure that this particular industry continues to grow and continues to invent new ways of actually finding cures and vaccines for the things. So healthcare is going to be evergreen. Stock trading. Why I'm saying stock trading? Because stock trading can be done from home. It can be done from the acquired knowledge that you are having, and then you can actually, if you have a liquid cash, if you have cash that you have not borrowed, then this is the time for you to actually like learn more skills on the stock market and start diversifying your income through this, right? Online coaching and training, like I said, there are a lot of websites like Udemy, and there are a number of websites which I'm going to show in future slides. This is a great domain that is going to kind of again explore both paid and free online coaching websites. Definitely, this is something that is going to explode because people are going to look to upgrade themselves more than ever. Okay, be it be academics, be it be the business courses, any kind of courses that we are talking about, academic or business courses are going to kind of see a huge growth there. Okay, and basically we are talking about network marketing. This is again, we are talking about again, choose the right one, choose something that is ethical, choose that is moral, choose something that is not a Ponzi scheme, choose a network marketing solution that is not a pyramid, right? It has a great value for the products, and it has a great market, and it has some sustainability. Look for something that is organic. Look for things that are which has some good backing from the company, and look for ethics basically, right? But I think this is going to again explode because we are talking about less depending upon companies to create employment. You're not more dependent, you're actually self-reliant and trying to actually create your own this thing. And that brings us to entrepreneurship, right? So entrepreneurship thought process will be a lot more than ever before. If there were 10 people coming out of college, probably 8 were default looking for jobs, and other 2 probably have entrepreneurial ideas depending upon which college. And if it is a business school, that number is much higher on the entrepreneurship versus in engineering or a medical, then much higher on the employment side. But overall, the numbers on the entrepreneurship is going to go up. People are looking to do more gigs, see that have self-control on their economy, their finances, and their time, right? And how they want to live their lives. It's just they want to control more than being controlled by so many varying factors. I would rather be an entrepreneur, rather actually build my own service, my own product, and then I kind of control my own destiny. So this thought process will grow a lot, and I think that is very good because rather than you being a victim, blaming government, blaming a company, blaming economy, blaming some other external factors that are not letting me keep my job, not letting me prosper. Rather, I drive my destiny, right? Like I am the owner of a master of my fate and master of my destiny. So these thought processes are going to grow. Okay, so now we looked at a list of domains that are in red zone, a list of domains that are actually in green zone. So now you got this knowledge. Now we are moving on to some good news about India, right? So what is good with India, right? So you're talking about India is the benefit that we have by being part of this country is that we are 50% or more than 50 now, probably 60% consumption based economy. What does this mean? Is whatever economy that we build, whatever GDP that comes in, more than 50% comes out of consumption within the country, which means that we have a huge country of 1.3 billion people, right, with a huge purchase power that, be it be mobiles, be it be internet, be it be education, be it be agriculture, even for the companies that are actually building products, consumers are right here. 1.3 billion is roughly 15-20% of the entire world population is right in this country. So which basically makes us rock solid consumer in a base where even if the whole your neighborhood or the world is facing a different financial situation, if you can keep our consumption intact, we are still going to do good. Okay. Second thing is English speaking workforce. Like I think that's one of the reasons why Indian outsourcing industry is so solid. Is that I think any country which is actually looking to start a product company or a service company anywhere in the world, basically they are going to look for our business process outsourcing or services from India, especially because English speaking force. And one more thing I have not mentioned here is that the cost of living is still some of the lowest in the world. Okay, still I think the cost of living is low. Yes, some of the cities like Bangalore and Delhi and Mumbai, we keep saying that, hey, the cost of living is actually raising, but I think we are finding a new ways of actually keeping it low and still being competitive. So I would say in comparison, we are still very competitive in terms of the cost of living and the prices we are offer. So that's the huge this thing. And then we also have a diversified work culture and workforce, which like folks who could work with the different cultures, different backgrounds, which is very important to actually work in a diversified global matrix situation. So India as a country is also well situated, exactly opposite side of the United States, which is again world's more largest economy, and then you are fifth largest economy on the other side. So when you're doing any support or any kind of this thing partnership business, you're talking about a follow the sun exactly divided by 12-13 hours of time difference, and at the same time it is largest economy, largest democracy in the world, and in many ways it is kind of seen as a positive alliance by many countries all over the world. So I think that's a major benefit for us. And I would like to show you a quick chart here on the right side. So this is basically one of the studies by one of the top media companies, where if you look at the blue dots on the top, this is the GDP, the real GDP, projected by various different cities by 2030. Okay, by 2030, if you look at it, Hyderabad, the bubble that is looking at is almost going to be equal to that of Morocco, like which is a country, right? So Mumbai's GDP that we are going to produce is equal to that of Malaysia. Okay, Delhi GDP is almost slightly smaller than Philippines. So each of the metropolitan city of India will be able to produce the GDP that is equal to that is comparable to large countries in different continents or in Asia per se. So that is a huge potential that we have. I think we are completely undertapped. The best is yet to come for this country, and all we have to do is just stay focused and start pushing things forward. Yeah. So now you might ask, hey, you've learned a lot, right? I think over the last 15-20 minutes, a lot of information. You spoke about what was going in red industries and industries that have a great potential, and what is India's advantage, being in this country, 1.3 billion people with more than 50% GDP is inside out, and what should I do? Okay, I have three simple principles for you. One, continue to learn. Okay, this is a mantra, is that never stop learning, never stop knowing new things, never stop learning, not about your skill, not about your just about your domain, but keep looking out and see, hey, how my industry is transforming, how the consumers, how the companies, how the economy is changing. Keep observing and learning. Yeah? Once you do, adopt. Right. So what do you mean by adapt? Right. So adapt is basically be willing to change. So when you continue to learn, you're also kind of saying if I'm in a wrong place, or I'm going to be in a wrong place, say in 5 years down the line, can I adapt? Can I transform, change to something totally different? Right. Something that is more futuristic. Okay. So I do continuous learning, and then actually also I'm open to change and being able to adapt. And then you basically succeed, right? Because once you adapt, then you actually taste a success. Once you do that, and then repeat the same process. Okay, this is a continuous process that we are talking about, and you keep repeating, learn, adapt, succeed, learn, adapt, succeed, and at any point of time, this cycle should not stop. Right? Anybody who ceases to learn will ceases to exist in the future world. Okay, but anybody learns but then not willing to change will become irrelevant very soon. Okay, and once you adapt, automatically you basically get some results, help your company, help your enterprise succeed, and then make sure you actually continue this process. Okay, so remember this three-step process: learn, adopt, and succeed continuously, irrespective what field you are in, irrespective you're in college, you're in a company, or you're running your own enterprise, right? Or you're a CEO of the company, or you're a sportsman or woman. Make sure you learn these three things. All right. So I have some resources that I want you to actually kind of leverage while you are actually in lockdown situation right now. There's probably you have more time than before. You're saving your commute time if you are actually used to travel a lot before. There is a lot of time at your hand. And if you are a student and you have a summer break going on, summer vacation going on, I would like you to leverage online resources I listed out here. Okay, so you got Udemy, Linda, Coursera, and all that, and you have Open Culture, Open Learn, Allison, and EDX, and then there are many more, but this is probably top 5 or 10 online courses, and there's rich content, great professors, great teachers and coaches online, and the sites that I've highlighted in green are mostly free courses. So they're basically open mindset based ones. So and even for Udemy and whichever the paid websites, there is a huge discounts going on right now. Like I said, so there are some of the sites actually give you monthly subscriptions. For example, you actually buy a monthly subscription, say whole month I'm going to pay a certain amount of money, and then all publications are free for me during that particular month. So just like a library subscription, I just go and spend as much time as possible. I make my notes, I keep everything ready, and then once the subscription is over, my access is gone. But then for that month where the subscription is valid, I have so much information right there. Okay, there are deep discounts. For example, like in Udemy, I was looking at yesterday for beginners Python course, 9,000 rupees one is available for 385 rupees as a beginner, the first time purchase for me, right? So that's just an example. I'm sure because of the pandemic situation, a lot of companies are being kind enough to extend these offers to people who wants to learn. And same thing for if you have a Kindle, or if you have a Kindle app on any of your devices, most of the ebooks are on discounted prices. Audible, if you are reading audiobooks, basically Audible is actually giving the subscriptions for free in many areas. So these are some of the examples that I'm saying, is that keep your eyes and ears open. There's plenty of resources available online for you to leverage. Okay, so while you learn, write some certifications and get certified. Okay, that makes you feel good, because certifications are kind of it's more like a self certification for you. It's more like a self assurance that, hey, here is where I am, and I've kind of tested myself, and looks like I'm good at I'm really good at these subjects. And again, this is not for showing to others. This is not for giving to the companies. Yes, it does have value. Some certifications have really good value, but I personally used to use them to just benchmark my learning internally, just to see how the learning is going. This is basically a checkpoint for yourself. Okay, so these are the just a small list of free resources, or resources available with the discounts online. I would love for you to explore more, find out more. If you have more, and if you find more, please add it to the comment section below, and I would really love to understand exactly, learn from you. Probably you know more resources than I do, and please put it there, so anybody who's willing to learn will actually be able to see this. Okay, so with this, I'm basically at the final slide of this webinar. Okay, and this is going to be a conclusion, and I'm going to actually give my parting thoughts to you, before I leave. Okay, so what is the first one? So before everything, right, take good care of your health, because health is wealth, and if you're not healthy, nothing else matters. Okay, you will not be able to study, you will not be able to work, you will not be able to give your best, even if you are a sportsman or woman. So make sure your health is taken care, and this pandemic kind of opens our eyes in terms of how important is our health in a longer term and short term as well. Okay, follow all the health guidelines, whether you're going out, wearing masks or whatever that is. Make sure you're on top of it. Second thing is give and help others, right? I think be kind in these situations. If you have a domestic help or a maids, a lot of people are jobless at this point because of the lockdown that is happening, the daily wage workers especially. In India alone, there are more than 1.5 crores, which is 15 million plus migrant workers, which who are basically going living in a different city than they originally belong to, for make their living. So all these migrant workers, most of the migrant workers do not have work today. Okay, because only essential services are running. So if you are, unless you are into healthcare and grocery and some of the essential services, none of the businesses like a construction or a travel or import export businesses, none of these business, basically the folks, people who are working on it, interior design, real estate, construction, they do not have livelihood right now. So please help as much as possible, donate and give as much as you can, and definitely that makes you feel good and it really helps the world. Okay, now, so here are the certain inputs for you, right? Use your time wisely, whether you are having fun with your family, sitting in front of TV and watching a web series, or you're building some skill. Whatever you do, focus on the quality, not the quantity. Right? I think that's what is going to matter for you, because I think in these interesting and tough times that the world is going through, I think the only commodity that you get for free, but then which is the most valuable, is actually your time. So spend your time wisely and make sure it has a return on investment. Okay, and number two, most of you need help right now, for example for a job, or you need some advice, you need any kind of help that and who can help you, but you probably are hesitating right now, saying that, hey, can I reach out to them? Maybe they may be busy right now, they may not take my call. My recommendation for you, everybody is in lockdown right now. Okay, if maybe they are working, right? I mean, everybody has certain timings, that's fine, but pick up the phone and call people. Okay, nobody's traveling, nobody's vacationing. Okay, nobody is out of cities or out of country today. Everybody is locked down at their home. Okay, and most likely than not, they will pick your phone and probably try to help out. Okay, so reach out and interact and network using all the modes that you have right now, and make sure that you actually leverage the best out of people that they are there. Okay, and talk to the people, ask them questions, and then find out more information that they have. Okay, and keep yourself up to date. Okay, that's very important. Maybe you're already in a job, maybe already you're making good money, you're happy with what you have, but make sure you are keep yourself up to date and just watch where the market is going. I'll continue to see if I can actually have fresher versions of this webinar in future months to come, but there is a lot of information available on the web. Just keep your eyes and ears open, you'll be able to know. There are some global media, there's some local media that's going on, and obviously there are a lot of rumors, a lot of hoax messages about job losses and everything. Don't trust, okay, unless you have a very credible information, right? So this is not the time to panic, this is a time for opportunity. Okay, there is always an opportunity in adversity, and this is exactly that. I think I would really love you to make sure you be on top of things and keep yourself up to date. Okay, and what one mantra that I was going to talk about is basically adaptation, right? So how do you kind of transform yourself every time there is a new situation comes, and there's a new industry that is taking shape. You might see a lot of new concepts coming in right now in next 6 months to 1 year. Is that you always look out, don't be rigid. You got to be thinking, maybe this is what I did in last 5 years, last 10 years, this is what I studied my entire engineering, this is what I was good at. It does not matter, right? If you like a new concept, if you think that that is the that has future, that is the biggest one that is going to come in, I think you should just go and build your skill in it, and then you should make that shift. Okay, that is the only way to stay relevant, and that is the only way to actually start making more impact in this world. So the adaptation is very key. So you keep looking for new ways of doing things. Okay, and have an entrepreneurial thought. Don't always look for, hey, I like, one job is gone, so where is the next job? No, hey, can I do something? Even if I have a job, can I freelance a little bit, right? Can I look for, multi source of income, right? So I'm not talking about moonlighting here. I'm not talking about like doing multiple jobs here. But then, I'm only talking about your financial stability and financial, safety, right? I think you got to be. I mean, each of us are responsible for our lives. Each of us are responsible for our, families and livelihood. So it is totally okay to look for multiple options and just safeguard your income sources and always have more than one income source. So which means that start your gigs, right, parallelly, maybe everybody has 24 hours, but then how do you use the 24 hours? Can you use your weekends more effectively, your holidays more effectively, your evenings more effectively to actually make that extra buck, right? So with this, basically, I would like to basically share my coordinates. Um, the top one is Insta, Sri Gade. So I'll continue to share updates on Insta. I'm going to use this platform to make sure, stay in touch with all of you, touch with the entire world, saying that, hey, what are the new trends that are coming in, which are the companies actually trying to hire, where are the areas where we are looking to make more investments in India and abroad. So all these greatest and latest I'm going to actually share on Insta. At the same time, we have Facebook Icon Academy Global there. You'll find this down below this video. You'll see all the links that you can find. Basically, use those links and make sure you stay in touch with the latest and greatest. All right. So again, thank you very much for attending this webinar, and I really appreciate, and I'm proud that you spent this 60 minutes today on a Sunday to tune into this webcast, this webinar, and I truly believe you can actually make a big difference. So a couple of so I said, help other people out, people who probably have not seen this video. I'm going to actually post it, after a little bit of edits. I'm going to post it at the same URL. Share it with your friends and family and your colleagues who might be benefiting from this information. And at the same time, you personally continue to learn, continue to actually get better, and enjoy and stay safe and stay healthy. So with this, I'm going to stop presenting this and see if there are any online questions people might have for me on this.